If you get a shoulder separation, oh, it didn't break. Ah, darn it. Oh, broke the wrong bone. Ignore that. I'm a little conflicted right now. Auston Matthews got injured, and I'm a Habs fan, so, this is not too bad. It's not terrible. It's actually might be really good for the Canadians. Fewer shots on net against Carey Price. That's a good thing. On the other hand, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. We have an injured player, really good player, Auston Matthews, who now has a left shoulder injury, and he's going to be out for a little while. And as an orthopedic surgeon, that's pretty significant. So what did he do to his shoulder? You guys probably saw the play.
If you're Leafs management and you're looking at Auston Matthews, I'm surprised that the number's only 20. He's missed 20 games in 2 years.
So Auston was heading to the net, takes a check, and then right away, he knew it. He got hit, weird angle, his shoulder's down, and he just skates off down the tunnel for an assessment, and he's out for 4 weeks from what we hear. And this was similar to apparently what he had in March of 2018 when he got sandwiched. And in that particular case, it was a shoulder injury, and the reports say a second-degree shoulder separation. Now, I think what they're saying when they mean second-degree shoulder separation is a grade 2 shoulder separation. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. So he has a separation. He was out for a few weeks, and then he got back in. Now, Auston Matthews is one of those players you can't just replace, okay? He makes a big impact on the game. Now, sure, the Leafs have a little bit more depth than last season, so hopefully this may actually be good for hockey. Bad for Auston. You've probably seen the reports. He's not happy about it. He's trying to get back into the game. He wants to skate it out. He has to heal, but it's going to take some time. So let's get right into the injury. So this is your shoulder, okay? This is your collarbone. Now, you've seen this model before. All the muscles are gone. So you got skin over here. You've got muscles all around the shoulder. They've been taken away just for you. Collarbone, which is the clavicle. This is a joint, and this is the acromion. The acromion is actually part of the shoulder blade. So this is your shoulder blade. That's on the back of your shoulder. It's part of the shoulder girdle. Humerus, remember that? Glenoid joint. We talked about the humerus on the glenoid. That's like the golf tee. We've got the collarbone clavicle. We have the acromion, which is part of the shoulder blade. What is a shoulder separation? It's not this joint. That's a shoulder dislocation. This joint is what's involved in a shoulder separation. Very different. Could be less consequential than a shoulder dislocation depending on the grade of separation. Now, the other parts that are involved in the shoulder separation is also this section, the conoid and the trapezius ligament. Now, they are attached on the coracoid, and the coracoid is this bony prominence that juts out from the glenoid back here. Now, this becomes important, just so you know, the coracoid, that's where the short head of the biceps attaches. You have the long head from here, short head from here. This is the coracoid. So the conotrapezioid ligaments, these two ligaments help stabilize the clavicle. So if you get a shoulder separation, oh, let me show you. If you get a shoulder separation, oh, it didn't break. Ah, darn it. Retake. Oh, broke the wrong bone. Ignore that. Let's focus on the AC joint. So there's the joint right there. So I did break part of it. So right there. Okay, so that's the AC joint. Now, when the AC joint breaks, okay, so, but since we're here, there's a collarbone fracture, that's a clavicle fracture. You get more than 2 centimeters or 1.5 to 2 centimeter separation, you should have it fixed. If it's displaced inferiorly, you could have neurovascular injury. That means it should be fixed. You could have numbness and some severe significant problems. If it goes back, which is extremely rare, then you could end up with some further compromise in your neck and brachial plexus. But typically the collarbone breaks like that because the conotrapezioid ligament, because it's on the proximal side of those ligaments, it tends to break here, and that does that. Wobble, wobble. That's not what Auston Matthews had. And he didn't have a sternomanubrial dislocation, which is with the chest wall. Chest wall's over here. It can go like that, or it can go back. Back means into the chest. That's pretty bad. That's not what he had. Instead, he had this joint. AC, acromioclavicular joint. And different grades. Grade 1, just kind of sprain it. It's still hanging around. It's still solid. No major issues. Grade 2, somewhere around less than 25% separation. So that means it's elevated or mobile, but less than a quarter of the joint space between the bones. So, and then you can have it completely off, and that could be more than that. Then you get into grade 3, where it's somewhere between, say, a quarter to 100% dislocated, and that's when this is completely broken, which I can't do right now because somebody put a wire in this when they built this model, and that's why I broke the clavicle. So, if it's 100% dislocated, then that has some implications. We'll get into that. Other types of separations, if it goes front, back, or down, all sorts of different options. Most of those from grade 4 through grade 6 require surgery, typically, especially in an athlete like this. There's no question about it. But what do you do for grade 2? Now, they're calling it a second degree separation. I'm going to make the presumption that they actually mean grade 2 separation. Now, if it's a grade 2 separation, we can talk about the different options, and for the most part, non-surgical is the mainstay. It's only subluxing a little bit. It'll heal, no problem. Controversy as to what kind of treatments, whether you even bother with some type of a sports brace or sports shirt of some sort to brace the shoulders or anything like that. We're not getting into the level of evidence required to make that claim because there's not enough evidence to say one way or the other whether a sports shirt or a shoulder brace is going to make any difference whatsoever. You could try taping it, kinetic taping, do whatever you want. For the most part, there's no evidence it makes any difference whatsoever in the grand scheme of things, taking all data into account as of 2018. So, grade 3 separation, that's a significant injury. Let's assume he does not have a grade 3 separation. That's a little more significant. Sometimes you have to do surgery. Now, in his case, if it's 100% dislocated, essentially, if it's, we call it subluxation if it's not completely out. So if it's just mobile, but still within the realms of the joint, so you have the two bones and they're still like this, then it's okay, it's subluxation. But if it's 100% or more, then it's dislocated, okay? We still call all of these shoulder separations just to separate it from a shoulder dislocation. But the AC joint may be dislocated, and anything related to the AC joint is referred to as a shoulder separation. If you have a shoulder dislocation, just from the way we use it in layman speak, a shoulder dislocation actually refers to the glenohumeral joint. Different injury. So just to keep it simple, anytime you have someone with a shoulder dislocation, they're talking about the glenohumeral joint. That's this big socket here and joint. Shoulder separation is in this smaller joint, but that may or may not be more significant. You'll definitely find it's more significant in athletes like gymnasts that have to hold their arms as struts, cyclists that have to use their arms as struts. And certainly, if you can play hockey like Auston Matthews, that's pretty important. Most of us, we probably barely get close to utilizing our AC joint. It just rarely happens. How many people are actually out there pushing their AC joint to its limit? I'm sure you guys are. I know I'm not, and I'm pretty active and try to be. So Auston Matthews out for 4 weeks from the sounds of it. That's plenty of time, hopefully. Give it time to heal, let it recover, and he'll be back on the skating rink in practice with the Leafs with a red jersey. But it's not going to ever be a Habs jersey.